Greetings, greetings. Welcome again to this second session on what a friend we have in technology. This is part 2 of our series of technology training sessions. We're going to dive right into some additional tools for technology that I believe will be beneficial to you and your ministry. My name is Timothy Farmer, and again, I have the great pleasure of serving as your presenter, and I hope that the information that has been shared thus far has been a blessing to you, and I hope that you would use it in your ministry, both even as we are preparing for re-entry and as we are worshiping virtually, and even using it thereafter to better impact your ministry as we work together to advance the kingdom of God. So with that said, let us begin with a word of prayer. Lord, we thank you again for this opportunity to gather and to come into this virtual space. I pray for all of those who would watch this broadcast, that their homes be of love, peace, and understanding, and that they would glean information from these trainings that would better their ministry, that would impact them to better reach those who are lost, that they would be able to plan worship better, that they would be able to be more efficient in their church operations, that not only would they be more effective in what they do for their ministries, but ultimately that you would be glorified in all that we do. And in all things, we'll be careful to give you all the glory and the praise. It's in the matchless and mighty name of Jesus I pray. Amen. So let's get started. We have had the opportunity to share some great information. I believe it will be certainly impactful for advancing our ministries to do things, as I've stated, more efficiently, to reduce the amount of paper that's used, or to have processes that take more time, but to actually spend more time on the execution of ministry versus the actual processes in order to get them accomplished. So we're going to, in this second session, focus on tools for worship execution and for worship planning. In the last session, we covered in part 1 connection tools and strategies, and I hope that many of those tools, especially the Google tools, Google Forms, Google Sheets, Google Drive, as well as the others as it relates to social media, will be helpful to you in that regard, to keep your ministry connected both internally and to connect with ministries beyond just those who are in our area, but also in other areas as well. So in this session, in worship planning and worship execution, there are several tools that I'll be sharing that will help in the process of preparing for worship, to make sure that everyone is on the same page and that everyone is informed, not just from a worship perspective, but even from facilities and AV teams and the administrative staff, to ensure that everyone understands what the expectations are around preparation for worship, as well as in the worship execution aspect of the training. We'll delve into tools for streaming, for live streaming service, as well as anything that's pre-recorded, and also looking into how best to formulate the outline of a website to ensure that people can get to critical information relative to that which is happening, not only in worship, but what might be happening at your church as a whole. In the last session, there was a document that I shared with you that I wanted to make sure you had at your disposal for accessing the tools that have been shared at a later date. So if you forget one of the tools or need to go back and refresh yourself on any of the items that have been shared, then you can use this document to go back and connect with those tools. And how you access this document, at the bottom of the page, there is a link, farmertechgroup.com/tools. Again, that's farmertechgroup.com/tools. If you type in that website, that will give you access to this technology tools document. And I'll make it just a little bit bigger where you can have access to not only that which has been shared in these 2 sessions, but also you can have access to other technology tools that relate to Christian education, being able to have remote access to computers if you ever need to connect with a computer on the church site, as well as some others as it relates to communications, some things even with testing the internet to ensure that it has enough bandwidth for worship streaming, which I'll touch on during the worship execution part of this training. And it is a live document, so you have access at all times, not only to that which is currently on the document, but as items are added, tools are added, you'll see in real time those documents being added there. So you will have the opportunity to connect with this running document for technology tools that will impact your ministry. And again, that link is farmertechgroup.com/tools. All right, so let's get started. So we're going to focus on worship planning. And in the last session, I focused on several tools that are provided by Google. And if you don't have a free Gmail account or a Google account, if you don't use Gmail for your primary email, I certainly encourage you to create a Google account by going to google.com to simply create an account to have access to many tools. And we covered several of them in the last session about creating a free website, how to create online forms, how to collaborate with others using Google Docs, or if you're working with someone to do a presentation, how to use Google Slides for presentations, and how all of the tools that Google provides not only are free, but they can be stored online for free in Google Drive, which gives you 15 gigabytes of storage, and they save automatically, so you never have to worry about saving them like I do. I lose jump drives, and losing jump drives and losing data, and having the experience of that and the hurt that comes in my heart when I can't retrieve a document. Google Documents have solved that problem because, again, it saves in real time. And if I delete something accidentally from a document, the history of that which I've done in that document saves as well. So I can go back in the activity log and I can find what I might have deleted if I need to retrieve it for a document. But it can also be used for worship planning. Worship planning, if you are working with a team to outline that which is going to happen for a service, or if you're working to get pre-recorded virtual choirs, or if you're working to get other elements that are pre-recorded, you can use Google Docs to plan out the worship, as well as put the links to any type of video or media that you receive that needs to be a part of that worship service. So I want to show you an example of a worship planning outline, and I'll make this template available as well. So if you want to take it and use it for your own purpose, for your own ministries, then you can. This is an example of a worship outline that was used for planning worship that was pre-recorded, and several elements had to be gathered for the service to be put together by our videographer, for service to happen and to be scheduled to appear on Sunday morning. So in this worship planning document, all of the elements and how they unfold during a worship service are outlined here. And in addition to the outline of the elements over on the left, here in the middle, if we wanted to put the time length, we could. Also, any additional information, if we needed to know whose name needed to be in the lower third, or if we needed to provide any specific instructions and highlight them, then this document allows us to do that. And we could share this with the videographer or whomever is putting together the worship service. Then they could see any changes as they were putting together the worship with the video elements that were provided. So, but this can be used for live worship as well. So as the music is coming together and as the liturgy is coming together for a worship service, then this document could be shared with the worship team, the pastor, the technology team. Also, it could be shared with if there are ushers or greeters who would need to know how certain aspects of the worship will unfold. Then this document can be shared with them. And to share a document, as indicated in the previous training, in the upper right, there is a share option that when you click on share, you have the ability to either put in the email addresses of those, and they don't have to be Gmail email addresses. You can put in the email address of the person who you would want to share this document, or you can at the bottom copy the link and put it in an email, and they could get a copy as well. And you could make that link where they only have view access, where they can only view the content that is being posted. But if you want them to contribute to the document, then you could make them an editor for them to also add content as well. So that's one of the additional benefits of Google Forms or Google Docs. And you could probably tell I'm a Google guy. I do happen to be certified in Google, and it is a tool that's close to my heart because it allows ministries to do so much, as indicated in the previous training with one of the mothers of the church who wanted to publish a cookbook of all of her recipes. To help save time, we were able to take her handwritten recipes and upload them to Google Drive and transform them into a document where it took her handwritten recipes and turned them into typed text. And it saved her a lot of time to get her book published with just some editing that had to be done, but the typing was already completed. So Google helps to do a lot of things to make processes a lot easier and to help people to collaborate. So again, Google Docs is great for worship planning. So just as a refresher of how you create a Google Doc in Google Drive, and I'm going to simply go to google.com. In Google Drive, once you're signed into your Google account, and you'll know because there will be either a letter of your first initial or whatever name you've given the account, or if you have already added your profile picture, it would be located here. To the left is what I call the waffle. And somewhere in this group of applications, mine is on the top row, but yours might be on another row. You're going to look for Drive. And once I click on Drive, it will take me into my online storage space. And again, with a free account, it gives you 15 gigabytes of storage, which is quite a bit of storage. And also, if you create Google Documents, it does not take away from the space that Google has given you. So if you have 15 gigs and all of your things in Google Drive are Google-based documents, then you will maintain that 15 gigs. And then only that which you add outside of Google Documents will take away from the storage space, such as PDFs or Word documents or PowerPoints or pictures and videos. Those will deduct from the Google Drive space, but anything that you create in Google will not take away from your Google Drive storage. So how you create a Google document, in the upper right corner, you click on the plus button where it has the word new, and you go down to Google Docs. And here we'll create a brand new Google document for you, such as the one of the worship planning outline. So with Google, as stated before, and I want to make sure I reiterate it again from the previous session, if you like to take your abilities with Google to the next level with the business version, that those who are business customers, the tools that they would ultimately pay for, you can get the free version of those tools to advance, to have more storage space, to be able to do even more with your Google form and it's on the technology tools document, is to go to google.com/nonprofits to submit an application as a nonprofit, as a church, to get the business level of what Google will provide. And so you can then create multiple accounts for those in your ministry and do several other things. And it does give you more Google Drive space per account that you create. And you can create as many as you want. I've created quite a few, and I've never been told or never received a message that I am running out of Google accounts. So that's certainly something to explore. And I'm reiterating it because they are providing it during this time of the pandemic. And so I'm not sure how much longer they're going to provide that as a resource for nonprofits. So please take advantage of that as a tool for your ministry. So in addition to a Google Doc for worship planning, there are some additional tools that you can use for planning if you really want to make sure that people are connected, making sure that people are accountable for what they are responsible for as a part of the worship plan that leads ultimately into the execution of worship. There's nothing like on a Sunday morning when you arrive and you're prepared as the leader of how worship unfolds to find out that a person whom you had a conversation with to participate in worship, that Sunday morning, that they say when you reach out to them and service is about to start and they haven't arrived, for them to say, "Oh, I didn't know I was supposed to this," or "I didn't know that the time to start was at this time," or "I thought this was for next Sunday and not for this Sunday." There's nothing more frustrating than getting down to the wire of your service and a part of the service that you expected to unfold that day doesn't happen. And so a tool that helps to alleviate any type of loophole or misunderstanding or a person forgetting about what their role is, a wonderful tool that has saved me several times and helps to keep everybody on the same page is called Planning Center. And that website is planningcenteronline.com. I believe also you can get there by going to planning.center. But what Planning Center does, it is a site that you can create a worship service template, and you can outline that template, such as the one you see here on the screen, for whatever is to happen during pre-service. If you have a countdown, and it even identifies the time length of how long things are supposed to take place. Of course, that varies, and based on how the service flows, that could change. But at least there is a frame of reference around what is supposed to happen during pre-service, what is supposed to happen during service, what is supposed to happen when it comes to a certain choir. So like worship and song, you have the choir, and it can even be narrowed down to how it is supposed to happen at the 8 o'clock service or the 11 o'clock service. Call to worship, hymn of celebration, any type of video elements, all of those can be added to this outline. But it's not just an outline. In addition to the outline, you can add people to Planning Center. What does that mean? That means you can add in the people area the contact information of all of those who serve in worship, from the pastoral staff to choir members to musicians to the technology team to the children's ministry. Everyone who plays a role in some aspect of worship, they can be added as a contact in Planning Center. And that is essential. And they can be then also divided into teams. So you have your AV team, you have, again, your children's ministry team, facilities, first impressions, greeters, choirs such as men's chorus, production team, recharge service team. That was one of the service types that we had last year. So all of these are teams that the contact information for people can be added. So in the actual worship service, they can be added to the service, and it will send them an email of what they have been assigned to do. It will also send them a reminder of what their role is. And if they have the mobile app, the Planning Center app, which is available for iPhones and Androids, they have the capability to receive the alerts or the push notifications that the app will send when their role is upcoming for the service. And as an additional component of accountability, then when they are assigned an aspect of the worship service for them to participate, then they can accept the invitation, and you'll know that they've received the invitation, and it'll be indicated by a green check that will let you know that they've confirmed their participation in the service. So these are the team members who have been added to this worship service, this example worship service for each group's respective role. So choir director, worship director, even down to those who are working the screens and photography. So these are just some of the elements that Planning Center can do. You can even incorporate lyrics to songs. So if you want to make sure that those who are the musicians have the words to the songs, or if you want to make sure that whoever is leading praise and worship, or even those who put together the slides for the screens, have the songs here loaded for them to be used to help with planning worship. So this is Planning Center. Planning Center is subscription based, but from what I recall or have experienced in the past, that the cost for Planning Center is pretty nominal, but it will, in a sense, be worth the cost to ensure that everybody is on the same page. And they do have some additional tools with different subscriptions for having a church calendar where everyone can see all of the events that are taking place at the church. Now, Planning Center is its own calendar for planning worship. But if you want to have a calendar, a one-stop shop where everyone can see what events are happening at the church, then in the calendar app, then this is where you can have your church calendar, and even have included in the calendar where you have your resources and rooms in the system. So as events are put on the calendar, if one room is already reserved, the same room won't be reserved for the same time. So this helps to alleviate double booking. And also for resources. So if you have 100 chairs in your inventory, and for one event 20 chairs are being allocated for that meeting, then that would leave 80 chairs left for any other meeting, and it would deduct the amount of chairs or whatever other resource that you have in the inventory for that same event, to ensure that if a person or a group needs a set of tables and they are already allocated at the same time, that they would know that we need to probably plan, if we really want those tables, plan our event for another time. So that's the calendar component of the Planning Center tool. And then people, if your church does not have a tool where you're managing membership information, then People does that as well. It has some other tools like forms and workflows that they've added in recent months to their platform. But Planning Center has been, for my church and many churches, a great resource and tool to help keep everybody on the same page. And it's going to be even more critical. We've been in virtual mode for over a year, but especially when we are back into the physical worship space, to keep everybody on the same page. So that way they can't say, if they've confirmed their participation, then on a Sunday morning when it's the day to fulfill their role, then Planning Center helps to down on the I didn't knows, or you should have told me, or why didn't you remind me? So this helps in that regard. So take Planning Center down. and see how best the pricing of Planning Center can be fit into your ministry's budget. In addition to Planning Center, back to the Google tools for meetings, Google Meet, and I shared this in the previous session. Google Meet is a tool that is free that you can use for worship planning. So instead of having to come to the church or the building, and I know many people are using Zoom as their platform, but if a person who is using Zoom is using the free account and it after 40 minutes, it cuts off the meeting, then for a small group especially, it can work for larger groups, but for smaller groups, Google Meet is a good tool, and it is free to host meetings for planning opportunities. Now, for those who really want to use Zoom, I am a heavy user of Zoom through a subscription, a paid account, because I use it for a lot of events and even larger gatherings that require breakouts. And actually, Google Meet does have its own form of breakouts as well, and virtual backgrounds that are similar to Zoom. And if your ministry wants to get several Zoom accounts to have a subscription for the church, Zoom is offered at a discount. I'll say it again. Zoom is offered at a discount through a website called TechSoup. That's TechSoup.org. TechSoup.org. TechSoup.org is a nonprofit organization that offers discounts to churches and nonprofits for tools such as Adobe, Microsoft tools, and they have a discount for a multiple license account of Zoom. So if you need a Zoom account that includes multiple users, instead of paying the full price, you can get the Zoom account that has multiple licenses at 50% off. So that's a huge savings because Zoom can be a little pricey the more licenses you need. So if with TechSoup, it gives you that 50% off. You do purchase a license. I think the license is less than $100, but that license will then allow you to get half off of a business level version or pro level version of Zoom to have multiple accounts. I think it's for the pro plan, it gives you 9 Zoom accounts, and then the business plan gives you 10. But to purchase that outside of the discount is significantly expensive, whereas half the price, it allows you to do it with saving quite a bit of money, and you can have those Zoom accounts for the ministries who need them at your church. So TechSoup.org. And again, they are offering discounts during this pandemic season that may not be available thereafter. So that's certainly something to look into, and not just for Zoom, but for other services as well. So if your church uses Microsoft Office, the Office Suite, or Office 365, then they offer it at a discount through TechSoup, as well as Adobe. So if you have a team for graphic design, if they're using Photoshop or Illustrator, then you can get it cheaper here versus getting it directly through Adobe. So as far as collecting or gathering content for worship, if you have pre-recorded elements, if you have voiceovers or graphics that are to be added into the worship service, whether the service is live or pre-recorded, of course, Google Drive is a great place to store those items. Again, you can go to the new button and click on File Upload, and you can upload those to your Google Drive and then share them with others if someone needs to download them in order to put them together into the service. One thing that in many regards, if I am working to get items from guests, such as if a guest choir is singing or providing a virtual choir, or if someone has created a video that we need to incorporate, or even if in some instances recently we have opened up to do socially distanced funerals, and family members have video tributes where family members who couldn't attend want to have an opportunity to record a video and it show on the screen. Then the easiest way that I found for them to submit it is to provide them a file request link where they click the link and they can upload their file directly online. Now, the best tool to be able to provide a link to receive information. Now, Google Drive, you can upload content in your own Google Drive. It is easier if you're trying to get content from others, for if you're planning worship and you want to get content from others through Dropbox. Dropbox is free for a basic plan of a small amount of storage, which for if you're gathering information or gathering videos for just one service, you don't need a lot of storage space. But what it does do in Dropbox, once you create a free Dropbox account, there is an option called file request. In file request, you can create a new request, and this is the one that I use all the time. So once I clicked on new request, it gave me a file uploads folder. With this file uploads folder, I can click on the three dots at the end of the line and go to copy link. And if in a new tab, if I go to that link, if I paste it there, it's going to give me a file upload area where a person can just click add files, and here is where they can upload their file. It's very easy. Those who may not be technologically savvy, it's just one click to get to this file uploads area, and then they click add files, and then the file is then available in the Dropbox folder. This helps a lot, as I've encountered those who have tried to attach video files to an email, and video files are too large for an email. So my quick response is to put the link in a reply email and say, hey, click on this link to upload what you're trying to attach to an email. This has been very helpful for virtual choirs, as individual choir members have recorded their selection that goes a part of the choir's rendition that the minister of music puts together. Then this is a great way to capture all of those pieces and make it easy for people to upload if they have difficulty uploading in other ways. So the file request tool in Dropbox has been a game changer to help with gathering content in an easy way. So we're going to transition to worship execution. So these are tools for worship planning. So worship execution, looking at tools to help with putting together or actually how the service unfolds. And that includes, especially if you are broadcasting your service, I want to share with you several tools to help to make that as efficient as possible. And this may be if this isn't your lane per se, but you work closely with the technology team of your ministry. These are some tools that you can share with the technology team to ensure that your worship, especially for streaming, you have things in place to make that as easy and as seamless as possible. So the first thing, even before getting into tools with worship execution, I believe the website of a church and how people connect with the worship is a critical part of the execution. So what you see on the screen is an example of a website. This is a church website, and the goal of worship is to make it as easily accessible as possible. So on this site, in what I call the top third, before a person scrolls down to look at any other information, there is an opportunity right here at the top of the page to access the worship. And also on that, in that top third area, you want to make sure that you have the most current information or whatever is most relevant for a person to view even before they scroll down. Now, this player is embedded on the home page for any time when worship is happening. They click here and a person can experience the worship. And this is a part of our streaming platform that is powered through churchstreaming.tv. And I'll show you that website in a moment for being able to have your stream available on the homepage of your website. Additionally, if a subscription to a streaming tool is something in the future and not necessarily something on the radar as of right now, at least have on the website a way for a person to connect with how your worship is available through either a link or something that's easily visible for a person to just click, and they will be taken to the live worship of your church. So there's nothing like a person going to a site, especially if they've been referred to your church by a member to watch your service, and they have a hard time finding it. So you want to make sure that that's clearly available on your website as a part of your worship execution. Also, as a part of your worship execution on your website, and as I mentioned in the previous training, if your church doesn't have a website and you want to get started before exploring the services of a website designer, you can go to google.com once you're in your Google account, and you can go to the waffle again. And in the waffle, there is an application called Sites. I talked more about it in the previous session, but here is where you can get started with creating a free website to have one online for your ministry. But you want to also have a way for persons who would experience your church in a virtual way to have the same experience as if they were on site. So here's an example. So as a part of the website has been incorporated a virtual church. And this is just a link to a page on the website that allows for the worship experience to unfold the same way as if the worshiper was in the physical building. Because many of us have now virtual members who have joined our church during the pandemic, and you want to have a way for them to engage in the service the same way that a person who is actually on site. So here is an example. When a person comes on site, normally in the physical space, and these are pre-COVID pictures, they would, for first-time guests, they will be greeted by a person from our greeting team, our ushers. They would then click on the form that you see here. This is a Google form. They would click on that form, and that's the same form that's here for them to check in and get their information. As much as possible, you want to have ways as a part of your worship to get contact information from those who are either joining your church, but those who are coming to your worship for the very first time, or if they've come before and you want to know how they came to know about your church through social media or through a friend or through the radio broadcast or TV broadcast. You want to be able to capture that information, as well as have a way for members to log in to their membership profile online for them to make their contributions and to keep their contact information updated. If you have a newsletter or anything that you would normally pass out, here is where you can put that. Also, Christian education opportunities. If you are doing Christian education via Zoom, or even if you're doing some on site, how people can engage with that, and any statement. This is where we also put where we stand as it relates to COVID-19 and the use of the building. And then it goes down into the actual worship experience. So If you don't have a Bible, there's a Bible there. Normally, you would receive the bulletin given by an usher, so the order of service, as well as the prayer list, and what we call a virtual grand hall, which is powered by a tool called Flipgrid. And Flipgrid, and that's F as in Frank, LIP as in Paul, GRID.com. Normally, people enjoy, especially after service, in the lobby, being able to chat and catch up on how people are doing, and those especially whom they've not seen in a while, just kind of get updated on how things are going in their lives. And so Flipgrid allows for a virtual way to be able to do that, where a person can record a video about how they enjoyed the service from home, no matter where they are. And then others who see their video can then post a response video that says, well, I'm so glad that you enjoyed the service. It's good to see you. You're looking good. I'm glad all is going well. So for those who still won't be for a while coming onto to the physical space, this is a way for them to connect in a virtual lobby. So then that, and then down to once they're in the service, ways for them to participate in the live worship experience. We broadcast to YouTube, where many people are actually chatting on the chat of the live broadcast. So this is where we say join the conversation, which takes them to the broadcast on YouTube. All of our online giving opportunities for Realm, which is our membership platform for our membership data, as well as Givelify and Secure Give for giving online. And also here is where they can click to watch the broadcast of the service, the live broadcast of the service. And of course, at the end of the day, our ultimate goal is to bring souls into the kingdom of God. So here is where, if they are in need of salvation, or if they want to join the church, or submit a prayer request, or tell us about your experience, give us feedback, all of this is on this virtual church page. So especially for a first-time guest, this is the opportunity for them to experience the service, how it would unfold. Then thereafter, they might just, once they go to your site, they may just go right to the live service, but at least provide a way for them to know, because they may transition from a virtual member to a physical member, and that gives them a frame of reference as to how the service actually unfolds for the ministry. So as far as streaming a website, or streaming a worship service rather, there are several tools to be able to do that. And I know many ministries are upgrading their equipment, or identifying ways how they can use different tools, or getting their live in-person technology in place for re-entry. Many ministries have continued to broadcast live from the sanctuary, even as the worshipers were at home. So just a few tools as it relates to technology and using it for the execution of worship. And if you need support with what cameras to purchase, or what sound equipment to purchase, then please feel free. At the end, I'll have my email address and phone number on the screen, so that you can take that down if you need actual support with, if you aren't using any equipment, or you need advice on what equipment to purchase, then you'll have my email address in order to support you with that. So one of my favorite streaming tools, my favorite and free streaming tools, is Open Broadcast Software, or OBS. OBS, if you're streaming from a computer that has an external camera connected, with OBS for Windows and for Mac, it allows you to create a broadcast that you can stream. Now, it only allows you in the settings to set one outlet for streaming, such as Facebook or YouTube. But what OBS does, once you download the software and you connect your camera to the computer, and connecting your camera to the computer, it happens some camera images will appear right on the screen once they are connected. Some cameras do require a what's called a capture card. Remember that, a capture card. A capture card will allow you to take a camera, especially if it has an HDMI cord, to hook the HDMI cord into the capture card and then put the capture card into the USB slot of a computer. And I don't want to delve too deep into the weeds of the technicalities of it, but a capture card is a tool that will allow you to get an image of a camera into a computer. One of my favorites, and this is something to write down, is called Cam Link. CAMLINK. Cam Link is one of my favorite ones that's easy to use. You hook it into the cord from the camera and you plug it into the computer. There's no software to download. Then the image from that camera in OBS would pop right up. Now, if you want to stream and have worship available for viewership in multiple platforms, one of the most popular and also one of my favorite tools to use is Restream. Restream is a way for whatever is broadcast from OBS. Again, OBS only broadcasts to one streaming output. So, and if you want to start with this, you can. I would certainly have in the back of my mind the thought of expanding beyond either just Facebook or YouTube to ultimately have both, but at least it's a good starting point. When you're at the place when you're ready to actually stream beyond just one platform, Restream allows you to stream to multiple platforms. So here's an example of our Restream account for Cascade United Methodist Church. And we stream to several platforms for YouTube, Twitter. This is where we stream to our church website that you saw on the homepage of the church website, the player that was right here. And we also stream to help expand our reach. We stream to the pastor's social media platforms because many people know the pastor from his social media or from hearing him preach at a certain church or online, but they might not know the name of the church. So this helps us to increase the reach by streaming to the pastor's social medias as well. And in addition to OBS, you have the ability, if you don't want to connect Restream to OBS, you can stream right from Restream in the live studio area. So if your camera's connected to the computer in the live stream area, when you go there, you'll see the image of the camera. You'll also be able to set your audio, and then you will have the ability to stream. And if you need a capture card, if you plug in the camera and you don't see the image of what's on the camera, then just get a Cam Link capture card, and then you can connect your camera and you can stream right from here. Additionally, if you are, this is for live streaming, if you are streaming to, if you're streaming online and you want to be able to take pre-recorded footage, let's say you come in and your team, the pastor, the praise team, and everyone comes in on a Thursday to pre-record the service, and the service is uploaded for it to broadcast at a time that it is scheduled for a Sunday morning. And many churches are doing that with Premiere, with Facebook and YouTube Premiere. And what Premiere is, just on Facebook, just like you create a post when you're posting something about your birthday or anything that's happening in your life, you can, in that same post, take a video and schedule it to appear at a certain time. So if you pre-record the service, then many of you are already using Premiere. But if you want to use a tool where you can stream to multiple platforms or upload it one time, because if you're using Premiere, you have to upload it to Facebook and you have to upload it to YouTube, whereas OneStream will allow you to stream to multiple platforms by just uploading the footage once. And you can stream to Instagram, which many platforms don't have already built into their website, but you can stream to Instagram here with pre-recorded footage. So here you would upload your video. So here's an example of a video that was uploaded from our children's ministry, and it's streamed on a certain day. We uploaded it. And the good thing is, if it's on your Google Drive, you can connect your Google Drive, your Dropbox, your OneDrive here, click on it, go find it on your online storage space, and then you can schedule it as a new stream in the upper left. You can schedule it. Let me go back. So a new stream from a previous upload, or you can upload it from your computer. You select the footage, and it gives you the ability to give it a title, a description. You can also set an alert. So if you want it to, on Facebook, send out an alert to everybody who's connected with your Facebook page 15 minutes ahead of time, then you can schedule that. Both Restream and OneStream are subscription based. The minimal subscription for Restream, the middle and the basic, range in between the $19 and $49 range. The likewise for OneStream is in the $40 range for being able to have a subscription to being able to stream to multiple platforms, either live as in Restream and pre-recorded as in OneStream. Now, Restream does pre-recorded, and then OneStream does do live. But I found from my experience that using Restream primarily for live I've had the best results, the best performance from that. And then OneStream for pre-recorded content. And then you don't have to use just worship for pre-recorded content. If you have a Bible study that has been recorded ahead of time, or if you want to replay something that has been broadcast before, then you can use OneStream as a way to do that. Or if I know for several rural churches, the challenge has been the internet for live streaming, using OneStream to pre-record the service and allowing it to be uploaded here and posting it to all of their social media channels at one time has been a great benefit, as many rural areas are waiting for their internet to be upgraded to be much faster. A few additional tools for worship execution. If your ministry doesn't have cameras, or you're waiting or you're working to get to the point of having cameras that can broadcast from the sanctuary and be affixed to the wall, like robotic cameras or cameras on tripods, then Switcher Studio is a great tool to be able to turn mobile devices into cameras. And many of them can use iPhones, Androids, and what it will do from that mobile device, it will stream. You can stream to multiple platforms. You can also add lower thirds. You can add graphics, logos to the output. And you can also add an external microphone. One of my favorite external microphones for streaming with a mobile device. If you can't hook your mobile device directly into the soundboard, my favorite is called a Movo, M-O-V as in Victor O, the Movo mic. Movo mics run about $40 or $50, but it does reduce any type of noise, or if you're streaming outside, you don't want birds chirping or the fire engine in the stream audio. So using a Movo mic is very helpful. Also, if you want to connect your audio from your soundboard into the mobile device while streaming with Switcher Studio, or even if you're just streaming to Facebook Live, well, actually, you do need Switcher Studio or some type of device that will allow you to change your audio. What I've discovered, if you're streaming directly to Facebook Live, it won't let you change your audio source. You still have to just use the built-in microphone of the mobile device. But if you use Switcher Studio, it will let you change the audio source. So if you want to have the soundboard audio as the audio that people hear, even if you're streaming from your phone, then Switcher Studio will allow you to do that. Additionally, to get audio from a soundboard into a mobile device or into a computer. So if you're streaming from your soundboard and you want to, in OBS, use the audio from the soundboard, you will need what is called an audio interface. I'll say that again. You will need what is called an audio interface. One of my favorite audio interfaces is Focusrite, Focusrite, Focusrite. And a Focusrite, even there's a brand of the Focusrite or model of it called the Solo. If you just need one channel from the soundboard going into your computer or into your mobile device, the Focusrite Solo will allow you to do that. They sell it on Amazon. The last time I checked, it was around, for the Solo version, around $115, but it certainly helps to get the best quality of audio into your device. Lastly, a couple of tools, StreamYard. Many people are using StreamYard for live worship. It works well for doing interviews. If you are wanting to host someone for a chat or panel discussion, then StreamYard gives you the ability to do that. And lastly, as ministries are entering back into the physical worship space, ProPresenter, to have graphics and words to the hymn on the screen, then that allows you to have an easy way beyond PowerPoint. PowerPoint can be a great start, but if you need to put a Bible verses and need to put up content on the fly, then ProPresenter is a great tool to be able to put content on the screens. And as many churches return back into the physical space, they're going to be relying on their screens much more than in times before. There is a cost to ProPresenter. There's a free version that you can download. It will have the watermark of the manufacturer on it, but there is a cost of $3.99 for places of worship and for businesses and schools. And then if you just want to try it out for 30 days without the watermark on a rental basis, then you can get the version that's $99. But this is a great tool to be able to add lower thirds or add the words from, again, the hymn or scriptures or sermon points. All of that can be done in ProPresenter. So again, the tool for getting, or the website for getting the tools, is farmertechgroup.com/tools. And also, if you have any questions or need more advice around any of these tools, and also for any advice for purchasing equipment, or if you are getting your plan ready for reentry and need some support, then my contact information, my email address is info@farmertechgroup.com. And you can also contact me at 404-600-1585. And I am on social media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Farmer Tech Group. So thank you so much for this opportunity. I hope this information has been beneficial. I hope I didn't put you to sleep. I know it was a lot of information, and I know there are many tools that have been shared that will take some time to really explore and to dive into to ensure how it can support your ministry. But along the way, if you need support, feel free to reach out to me in that regard. God bless you, and continue the great work that you're doing in ministry. And I look forward to witnessing the success of all that you're doing to advance the kingdom of God. God bless you.